Alright, yo, taking a study break. This is the final installment of the grade 8 math New York State test. And in this part, I'm going to go over questions 45 to 48. Also, shout out to my boy Shinji and Z. If you're watching this, why are you watching this? You should be studying. Okay, so let's get to it. So this question, okay, for my former students, it should be very familiar. An equation is shown below. What value of x will make the equation true? So you just have to solve for x here. Multiple ways of doing this. Here, one way, they're testing your distributive property. You don't have to distribute, but I think in this grade level, that's what they want you to practice. So let's just do it that way. So here you're gonna distribute 2/3 to every term inside the parentheses. So it's gonna be 2/3 times 3x. So you're doing this. 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, they cancel out. So it's just piece is gonna be 2x. And then you also have to do the 2/3 times 9. There's a 3 on the bottom, 9 on the top. So 3 goes into 9 3 times. So 2 times 3 is 6, and there's a plus there, so it's 2x plus 6 is equal to x minus 4. Great, and now we have x's on both sides, and we have to gather them up. So I'm going to move the smaller amount to the bigger amount, so that I don't have to deal with negatives. So there's one x on the right side, so I'm going to subtract x on both sides, and then I'll get a positive x here, and then plus 6 is equal to negative 4. Finally, I'm going to subtract 6 on both sides to isolate the x. And then you get x is equal to negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10. So that is your answer. Okay, if you have time on the state test, which you probably will, you should check, okay? Check. So once again, this is not mandatory, but do it, okay? If the teacher is not there, you can see if your answer is correct. What do I mean by check? When you substitute the value of x that you found back into the original equation, then you better get a true statement. I'm telling you, that alone will save you in many math problems, even in high school. So let's do that. So let me substitute negative 10 into x's, right? In the original equation. So I'm going to put negative 10 back in here and in here. So that means that I'm going to do 2/3 times 3 times negative 10 plus 9, all I ran out of space, is equal to negative 10 minus 4, okay? Let me make this a little smaller so that I can put this in one line as a true equation. So right there, and then I'm gonna take that, bam, bam, bam. Okay, great. And now we gotta see if this answer is correct, then that means that after we simplify both sides, we're gonna get a true statement, like something, a number is equal to the same number or something like that, okay? So let's just simplify now. So here, negative 10 minus 4, this is negative 14. So negative 14 is equal to, and now PEMDAS tells me to do the inside parentheses, the parentheses, and then I gotta do the multiplication here. So 3 times negative 10 is negative 30, so it's negative 30 plus 9, that is negative 21. So that means that the whole parentheses is going to be negative 21 and 2/3, okay? And 2/3 times negative 21, is equal to negative 14. Not sure, let's check. This is testing what skill? Your operations with fractions, with the negative number multiplications too, right? So here, if you do this math, and you could say it one more time, you could do 3 goes into 21 7 times, 3 is on the bottom, this goes away, this becomes a 7, still negative, and then 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. Negative 14 is indeed equal to negative 14, and this is good. So that means that this is definitely true. I don't even need the key for that, okay? Great. Next, 46, geometry. So from this state test alone, it seems that there's a huge emphasis in geometry questions, okay? And not sure if that was the case before, I don't remember, but that's pretty good because in high school after algebra, you take geometry anyway. All right. So here, they give you a triangle ABC, it's graphed on the coordinate plane shown below, and then they do a reflection over the y-axis, okay, to create a new triangle, so A prime, B prime, C prime. And they're asking you to find the coordinates of A prime. Okay, so this is testing your knowledge on how to reflect over lines, okay? In high school geometry, the two most common lines to reflect over is the y-axis and the x-axis. When you think about reflect, I like to think about this as fold, okay? You fold. Okay, so you're folding your picture, right, over that line of reflection that they give you, and then you want to see where does the original picture go after. Okay, so that's a sanity check that you can do. All right. Another way of doing this, is using the more mathematical approach. When you do a reflection, the distance of each point that you to the line of reflection has to be the same. In the previous part with the geometry question, I said that reflections are rigid motions, and I said that rigid motions are distance preserving maps. Look into that, okay? So that's just a fancy way of saying that, look here, every point that I reflect over, right? So here I'm reflecting over the y-axis. So that means that here, look at the point A, look at the distance to the y-axis here. That's 1, 2, 3. So that means that after the reflection, I should have 1, 2, 3. So A prime should be right there. Okay? So here, the coordinates is going to be 3, 4. Right? That's the answer. If you want to memorize the formula, you can think of, okay, reflections across reflections when you're reflecting points x comma y over the y-axis, see what's happening. Okay, or you could just memorize this, negative x comma y. Okay, I don't memorize this, it's too much to memorize these days, but basically every point x comma y transforms into negative x comma y. Warning, this does not mean that this is a negative number. This negative just means the opposite of what you started with. Okay, so here, if you wanted to do it this way, look at the point A. A is what coordinate? Negative 3 comma 4, and that thing is transformed into the negative of this. So that means that you're looking at the opposite value of this. My screen just got brighter. So it's negative, negative, so it's going to be 3. And then the y value you keep the same, is going to be 4. Yeah, I wonder if you see the updated brightness, but we'll see in the video. So that means, once again, that's another way of 3 comma 4. Okay, so as an exercise, okay, let me just finish the prompt first, and then we'll do this. So explain how you determine your answer. You could say, oh, I used the formula for reflecting over y-axis. Every point x comma y transforms into negative x comma y. I am not going to write that. You write that, okay? That's good practice for you. I'm going to write something else. I'm going to go with the first approach, okay? So what will be the coordinates of vertex A prime? I'll say A prime will be 3 comma 4, because under reflections, the distance from A to the line of reflection to the y-axis is 3. And so the distance from A prime to the y-axis should also be 3. Okay, that's one acceptable answer. Okay, look at the other ones as well and see what students put. Yeah, we overkilled this. Oh, so before I forget, as an exercise, you should try this for these points. Reflect them. Where does B prime and C prime go? It's good practice for you. You will see that again, geometry question in high school or something like that. And then you're like, wow, you did it in this grade. So anyways, yeah. Okay, this one. More geometry. A student used the diagram shown below to support the work in representing the relationship among the lengths, okay, so of a right triangle. Okay, so this is important. Remember, in the previous videos, I said when you hear right triangle, the trigger is Pythagorean theorem. So Pyth theorem says that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So I have that in the back of my mind. Okay, Then let's look at the next part. The student then showed how this diagram relates to the Pythagorean theorem, what I just wrote, but made an error. So he made a mistake as shown below. So they wrote the Pythagorean theorem correctly, and then now they're trying to substitute. Let's see. So it says, what is the error that the student made and what are the correct steps? So one, you have to identify the error. And two, you have to find the correct steps needed to show how the Pythagorean theorem shows, that's a long one, shows a relationship among the lengths of the sides and units of the right triangle. Okay, so basically, this is testing your knowledge on Pythagorean theorem, and that's just a fact that has to hold about the right triangles, okay? And what it says is that the square of the hypotenuse has to equal the sum of the squares of the two smaller sides in any right triangle. Okay, that has to hold. So the hypotenuse is directly across from the right angle. That's the longest side. Okay, and when you square that, that has to equal the sum of these two squares. Okay, the areas of those. Okay, great. So let's see. Here, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Well, look at the picture. What's a? 1, 2, 3. So that means a should be 3. So when you square that, it should be 3 squared. So this student made a mistake right there, should be 3. B should be 1, 2, 3, 4. He did good here. And then C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that should be 5. So here, off the bat, I can write the student mixed up A and C. Okay, the correct steps are, do they expect you to put this here or here? Whatever. So I'll put it here, okay? But you could also write this, yeah, it's like if you're typing. So here's the correct steps. So we said that A, so I'm just going to continue from here, okay? So it should be 3 squared. You could have is to put the parentheses, but you can remove that here after. 3 squared plus 4 squared, and we said that the c was swapped, right, is equal to 5 squared. And this math fact, I said it has to hold, right? So this student is just checking this. So now you check the left side of this. So it's like the previous, it was like 2 questions ago I did. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. So that means 25. Is that equal to 5 squared? It is, okay? It is. So 25 is equal to 25. So that's how it should be. This is the sequence of equations, okay? But I skipped some stuff, but as an exercise, you write it out. Mixed up A and C. The correct steps are, great. So you're gonna put that here. Here, okay? And you could be more clear and not skip steps. Great. Last question. 48. This question is worth 3 credits. Okay, it's the most. So similar to the other parts, right? Seems like rate of change is very important. It is. It's also very important for calculus, okay? The foundations of it. So here, 2 people are tracking their total sleep to the nearest hour for a science project and determine that their total sleep is proportional to the, yada, yada, yada. Based on the graph and table, determine who gets more sleep per night. So sleep per night. So this is talking about a rate, okay? Rate, I'm thinking about ratio, I'm thinking about slope. So you have to think about the rate of change, okay, of the 2 variables that they're giving you. Okay, they gave you Kaylee's sleep time represented as a table, and they gave you Mark's sleep time represented as a, Kaylee's as a graph and Mark's as a table, okay? Mark's, let's start with Mark's. We did that in the previous videos, please check them out. So here, we just got to find the rate of change. So look at these 2 points, any 2 points. So here, look at it, from 2 to 3, that is plus 1. And the hours is from 18 to 27, that is plus 9, right? This is like your y and this is your x. So the rate of change is change in y over change in x, which is 9 over 1. Now look at the context here. X is the number of nights. So that means saying that for every 1 night, how much does this person sleep, Mark? He sleeps 9 hours. So that is the sleep per night that he gets. And now we gotta calculate the sleep that Kaylee gets per night. How you do that? There are many ways. Just remember in the previous video, to compute the rate of change, you could choose any 2 points. But look at this one. This is very, very convenient because this represents a proportional relationship. And look here, look at this very special point. 7, 1. look at this. That's easy point, 0, comma 0. So if you did this kind of math that we just talked about, or you just read this value, it says that this 1 comma 7, right? This is 1 comma 7. This is saying that for every night, well, for one night, she slept 7. Okay, and then if you look at this graph, it's linear, so then I noticed that the rate of change is constant. Okay, but yeah, so here we know already who sleeps more, Mark. Okay, so we say Mark sleeps more per night because calculating the rate of change, I don't want to write all of this, this is boring. rate of change, we get the slope to be 9 over 1. Okay, so 9 hours per night. You could write this out as words too. And doing the same for Kaylee, we get 7 hours per night. Okay, same thing as one night. Okay, great. That's it. All right, so that's a wrap. All right, we did it. I said it was going to only take like a few weeks or something, but I hope you guys look at this and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll think about if I should do specific lessons. But there's a lot of repeated stuff. All right, and you're going to see, again, in high school and stuff, it's also repeated. But yeah, all right, to get back to my homework. But good luck, have fun, and see you.